is Roy, your boy? If so, I've got a build for you, and I've got him working as well as these others with use cases and team suggestions and all of that great stuff. But I need to know in the comments, which one of these are you planning on spending a Forma on? Which one of these do you most look forward to getting to play with in the Hall of Forms if you're not spending one there? We need to just jump right into Roy, though, because we've got some fun stuff here.
A hero celebrated in Legends?
Look at that weapon and refine. This was simpler times. I've got to be honest, even when this released, this was not just incredible. We had Dragon Bind, which we do have effective against dragons. We had Distant Counter, which at the time, if you remember, anytime you had Distant Counter, they nerfed the entirety of your weapon. Like that was such a big deal to them that they made everything else very, very weak. We had an Omni +4 and special cooldown charge +1 per attack, and then half tempo on the offensive side. Human Virtue, what did we get? Attack +6, and then we got like bonus doubler and additional stats. But the question you should be asking yourself is, where can I use this? Is this a unit that I can still get going? So after a ton of work, I came up with 2 builds. There are some other things you can do with this unit, but I clearly prefer the arena bonus here. And this is something that is going to, well, everyone's going to run into this. This unit is going to be a bonus unit, and you have a definite place to use them. We'll show Sims in just a second here, but this actually does nicely. Keep in mind what you're trying to get done is proc Haze Slice as much as possible. You get Slice with Sparrow, Speed Taker 4, and Armor Smasher. I know, that is not like the most cutting edge of tech, but I gotta tell you, it does the job, and we'll see that in just a second. In Arena specifically, we have so many armors, and so this weapon is actually doing better. As far as the bonus score bot build, this is max score 756. 756 isn't great. If this unit is your everyday arena score bot, though, I think this is a good way to go. This is a way that you can support the rest of your team. There are some other options you can have, particularly with that C skill, and we'll go over them, but this isn't bad. This is something you can still use if this is your favorite, and I mean, in arena, he's not killing much with Dragon Bind, so you have to look elsewhere. But speaking of, let's go straight to the Sims, and this is the Arena Assault build, and
But I'm begging you.
The biggest thing, Nagi is everywhere. This isn't even the most up-to-date. Some of you, like eagle-eyed among you, are going to notice that Marnie doesn't have the most up-to-date Marnie build. The new Alir has an A skill that's just perfect for her. Diluvian boost, I think, but that is, I haven't seen that enough to say that that is something that is common. So I kept this as is, and with Erica Ring and a lot of true damage from Slice with Sparrow and Speed Taker, and even attack speed finish, this unit can really deal out some damage. The key there is you do need Erica Ring, but I mean, I was pretty happy with being able to smash Marnie like that. This unit is everywhere, and if you have a unit that can reliably take her out, that's a big deal. You do need null follow-up support, do not forget that. You take down Nagi as well. Nagi is still one of the highest scoring units in Arena. I haven't seen her as much, especially with A Hero Rises. Mostly I see Marnie and Neithogre, and then of course Rhea is there as well. Neithogre and Rhea, this unit doesn't touch them. But again, we talked about it. Like, the thing you want out of your Forma is a solid role player. And the fact that this unit can come in as a bonus unit and kill Marnie is a big, big deal. So keep that in mind, and just think of how proud his father-in-law must be of him. Now, this is the Oho merchandise we have in the store right now. This is in honor of Hector's new Oho that he has. If you haven't listened to it, absolutely go check that out. It really made me laugh.
Oh ho.
We have something new in here with the cases, the phone cases. Check those out. We're going to go right into the fodder, though. And this is pretty much taken just out of these builds exactly. Armor Smasher is probably just what you're going to be looking for. There aren't enough seasonally locked swords that's something you want to go after. You will be, if this is your favorite unit, you will be looking at whatever next arcane sword they're going to have, and I have been expecting them to drop that any day now for months. So I am curious what the holdup there is, and I will see soon, I guess, maybe. But the biggest thing, if you're looking at must-haves for this build, the problem is the margins are pretty slim. Speed Taker 4 is an absolute must and the core of what makes this work. I do like Haze Slice a lot, and the thing it does is lets you survive long enough to have all of your hits, so that's a big deal. Slice with Sparrow is still important, but definitely next on the list. And then Times Pulse Edge, the fact is you have so many versions of Times Pulse. This is the best for him, but understand that there are a lot of others, and if you get those, you're going to be just fine. As far as your score bot, I have perfect attack speed. I think this is a really nice weapon to have, but keep in mind it is a luxury in a time when you need to absolutely maximize your damage. Still, if you're looking at what we've got here is the support build, so you're trying to live whatever comes in and attacks you, it is very nice. Attack speed Ruse 4 is... I tried to stack up the res on this because there is a case for making this like a res bot. The problem is the threshold is about 50, and I couldn't get him over that. The max I got him up to was about 48. So I did have to go with attack speed Ruse and then rally up attack as opposed to reposition gate. That's something to think about. Breath of Life 4 here is obviously good and nice. The problem is you're not doing a whole lot of tanking. You might want to go with infantry, no follow-up instead, which is an older skill, but I still find a ton of uses for it. It is very nice. It doesn't have a lot of synergy with perfect attack speed, but it's something you can look at and possibly swap out the A skill for one of these other things we're going to be talking about. And real quickly for the remainder of things, Haze Slice and No Quarter are your specials. I would absolutely go for Haze Slice over No Quarter. I will say in The Sims, it kind of came out, it wasn't a wash. Haze Slice was better, but it was closer than I thought it was going to be. You have Distant Bonus Doubler and Bonus Doubler for that matter. Keep in mind, if you have Dragon Bind, there's some overlap there that you're not really going to want to go over. Plus, if you're doing the score bot with the Distant Counter melee, then you'll want to just go with regular Bonus Doubler. The last thing I have there is Fortifications, and I get a lot of use out of that. Again, that is another Distant Counter skill, so keep that in mind. As far as the spiked wall skills in the B slot, those are good. For Arena, I don't like them as much, but if you're using this unit somewhere else, if you're trying to make this unit into an Omni tank, that is definitely an option. The Laguz Loyalty and Laguz Friend skills, I had a little bit of trouble with those. Laguz Friend 4 is probably the better one if you're talking about tanking, but Laguz Loyalty is a very interesting skill on this unit. Right now, it takes something really, really special to be able to tank. It is incredibly hard right now. The last thing in the C skill, I have Brutal Tempest. The reason is if you're pairing that with Armor Smasher Plus, the thing that Armor Smasher Plus gives you is it nullifies bonuses on armors. And so Endless Tempest doesn't do as well with that, but Endless Tempest is still very good, and if you're mixing and matching with something else, it's something you can absolutely do. Keep in mind though, Kanto in Arena is absolutely amazing. If you're asking me what I would pick, it would absolutely be the Armor Smasher build, which I found hilarious that Armor Smasher was getting a use in 2025. But this is a very good build on this unit, and that's what I will be picking up in order to do my bonus runs with this guy.
This will be your end.
I've got Igrene up next, and both Igrene and Lilina, and we'll talk about her when we get to her, but they're really waiting for refines. I think Igrene has a better likelihood of getting a refine that will make her decent though. So that is something to look out for. So we've got Nobata Kunai. We get speed +4, defense res -4. We get, if unit initiates, you get a brave attack, and we have that whole warping ability where you can go, if a unit is within 2 spaces, you can go within 2 spaces of them. Okay, the thing that drops this unit's value is not that everyone has warping now, it's that we have so many warping counters. That means if you're going to be using the warping reliably, you have to have pass on this unit, and this unit needs to cram every bit of attack you can possibly get out of her. Let's look at the builds though. Let's talk about the Arena Assault first. This is interesting, and you're gonna see the Sims. I was really pleasantly surprised with this. This is an Arena Assault build, and I've been doing this a lot in my own barracks. It is revamping a lot of these units because they do really well in Arena Assault. You're still going to get counters to warping because higher and lower ground are just everywhere, but there's still something to be said for being able to use this. And the thing you want to do with this is be able to proc lethality twice. That is really the goal. And so this is this is a way that you're going to be able to get that cooldown all the way down on lethality and then hit with it one more time at the very end. What I haven't put here. So Alma's going to give you preemptive pulse 2. So 2 cooldowns on the preemptive pulse. That's 2 more cooldown that you have to come up with in some way. You notice I only have 2 teammates here. If you wanted another one, someone like Asker could get that done. So just understand that is something that you're going to need to be able to do. Past that, this isn't a bad team in general. Having Alm does smack a lot of things, and pairing him up with Igrene and possibly like your absolute best setup is going to be with Soaring Guidance in the Echo slot, Soaring Echo. But that is the absolute optimal Igrene build. But still, this team can do a lot of good. Active Lookout is a lot of fun. You get a lot of positional shenanigans out of it, but you also get Desperation. So it's allowing you to get all 4 hits of your Brave off before the enemy attacks you back. And most of the time, you're not going to have Hardy Bearing in Arena. It isn't something that shows up there because it doesn't score. Thank you, IS, for doing that. That was very, very nice of you. But anyway, past that, you'll notice I have Flared Sparrow on here. One of the things in Arena, you really don't have Breath of Life support almost at all. And so that means a lot of the burn damage is still very good. And I found that to be more effective than the Sly Swift Sparrow. When you have burn damage, you don't have to go up against any sort of DR. And that's a big deal. I did find it funny that one of the older skills is doing better than the brand new Sly Swift Sparrow, though. Just understand that is Arena Assault specific. You still see both Breath of Life and Hathran, who helps, heal folks. And so Flared Sparrow isn't very good outside of Arena Assault. For Arena Assault specifically, this is very, very nice, and you'll see the results in just a second. As far as the support build, I don't have a season to this, but this is still something you can do, and understand that Potent Disarm along with Lookout Force, which has Canto in it, can be very, very handy for clearing traps and allowing for mobility. Mobility is a huge deal in every single game mode, and this unit can help you out with that in Aether Raids. So that's something to look out for if you want to use this unit and just have kind of a tech option for them. I think this is a fun way to do that. I did put Soaring Echo on there because I just couldn't help myself. But particularly for Aether Raids, that's going to be a big thing to have on there. All right, here's the sim. I did forget to add something on for this build. It is really important that you have cooldown acceleration. Particularly the Marnie that you're going to be going up against has that Earthfire boost. And so, of course, that has guard in it. So that's a big deal that you have to get around in order to proc lethality. But this is not bad. This is kind of the same thing that we were looking at before with Roy, only she does a little less. This is basically going to be around to help you with mobility for your other units and then be able to take Marnie out as well. You're going to have to pair her with someone that takes out Rhea, Neithhoger, and Nagi. That's going to be something you're going to want in Arena Assault. It's why I have her with Alm and why I think they're actually a pretty decent pairing. The other thing I need you to know is the margins. One of the things, if you look at the Arctic Silver Fox sim, it has overkill, and it kind of gives you an idea of how close you were. And the margins here are razor thin. You really have to have as much firepower as you possibly can against Marnie in order to take her out. Igrene doesn't have a whole lot of oomph when it comes to attack, and I tried to stack up every kind of damage and true damage and everything else that you possibly could. Pairing her with Alm and then with Plumeria is a great way to get all of that done. So it's why I like them as a team, and if you have them together, I think you'll be really happy with that. Let's look at the fodder though. So there's a little less here because it's just less to do. We talked about this. If I'm looking at a single skill that I think you really need to get with this unit, it is Speed Taker 4. Past that, Active Lookout is really phenomenal. Flared Sparrow is around enough, as is Lethality, that you could probably get that off another unit if you just absolutely missed it in this round. For the support build, though, it is interesting to be able to get the Potent Disarm. Like the Potent Disarm, then I have Full Disarm up there in the B as well. Those are two skills that are a lot of fun, but Speed Taker it's harder to get the pre-fodder for it. Well, it's harder. There is no pre-fodder for Speed Taker where there is for the full and potent disarm. The last two things I have here, I have the attack speed mastery, which has Canto built into it. That's kind of a fun aside if you've got some of this already on your Igrene and you want to just, have something to upgrade her. I like attack speed mastery a lot. It's a lot of fun, and that's something you can do in the A. And I've got for the C skill, I've got Pulse Smog. I don't love it for her, but it's very rare. It is really, really difficult to get that skill, and this is a chance to get something that is very niche and hard to get and possibly fun down the line for your Igrene. If you're looking at what I would go for, it is absolutely the Speed Taker build. I was very impressed with this, and this is something that goes well against Marnie, and this is something that I think once she gets her Refine will still be very good on her. So that's a big deal, and I think this is a fun build.
I pledge my love.
Lilina was a lot harder than I wanted her to be. I was a little disappointed. The problem is AoEs have been nerfed to death. Absolutely just been destroyed. If I'm looking for what I want in her eventual refine, it is actually burn damage. I think burn damage has made a little bit of a quiet comeback. I'm seeing less of Hathrin, although I do see her, and I'm seeing a whole lot less of Breath of Life. That is something that I think could increase the value of this unit. But as of right now, I mean, Gift of Magic is just a weaker AoE, and that's not great. As far as True Roses go, so you get Slang, you get Quicken Pulse, so that's nice. And then if you initiates combat within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack speed +6 or attack res +6, and then a true damage of 10% of unit speed. It's another thing in the Refine. I would really look for them to bump up that true damage, but it is nice. It is at least true damage, but you need true damage. You need to be able to hit as many times as possible, and that is something I had a hard time with this unit. I didn't do Sims on this. Well, I tried. If you are getting this unit, there are 2 reasons. And the first is this is your favorite, or the second is you are gambling on a just amazing Refine. And I think these 2 skill sets set you up for that. For the AoE Queen, Crystalline Water is deceptively hard to get. Then you have the Far Resound skill, which is perfect for her. One of the things, if you look at the 52 speed, like the threshold is 51. So, and this is something we were talking about in the Discord. This is a max invest. To get the full effect out of Resound, you would need to max invest. But understand, I've seen people really down. I understand it, and PM1 is exactly right. 51 is the way you get the maximum out of your Resound and Resonance. But that doesn't mean if you can't get there that they're bad. They are still some of the best and really only good skills you can have on a lot of these ranged nukes, particularly in the horse and flyer kind. So don't be too afraid to grab this even if you can't max invest this unit. I looked at some of the other things, and I still think this is the best B skill even if you can't get to that full HP threshold. Attacker's Ploy is nice. You would like something a little more upgraded, but for her, it's kind of perfect. It does give you some extra damage, which is nice. The other way to go on this unit is the True Damage Nuke, and that is Frost Moon and Sly Mirror and Occultist Strike and Attack Speed Insight Hone. In a perfect world, you'd have attack res, insight, hone. I still think it's probably your best C skill for the true damage nuke. The problem with the ploy skill that I have is positioning. For a lot of the places where I want to use her, it's hard to line folks up perfectly in order to get that ploy off. It's still a good skill, but which would you rather go with, attack speed ploy or attack speed insight hone? Neither of them are perfect. It just depends on what exactly you want to get on this unit. As far as the other grab bag of things, Flared Mirror is absolutely an option. Cultist Strike is something you can get. The Sabotage skills have lost a lot of value, but they're still decent. And so if you get one of those, I still think you can have a lot of fun with that. Because this unit has such high res, you can get a lot out of these debuffing skills that have res checks. For the C skills, the last one I want to talk about is Breath of Life. It's an option on there. I prefer the other two, but if you get that, I think you're still happy. The last, I didn't talk about the specials, but Ruptured Sky is another one you could get. Don't get Gifted Magic. Understand that she's going to come with that, so really go for Frosted Moon or Ruptured Sky. As far as what I'm looking for, it's the Crystalline Water res stacking build, but I would go for Frost Moon instead of Gifted Magic. So just understand that is something that you'll want to be looking for. As far as future Formas, things haven't changed since the last time we talked, but we've got some interesting stuff coming up. And this next Hall of Forms is going to be fascinating to look at. And if we do get some of these 3 houses units, I think everyone is going to be very, very happy with those. July is another one that is going to be a lot of fun, something to look out for with Heroes being there. And man, there are some real possibilities. All of these have fantastic use cases. Probably the lowest being Thracier, and I'm afraid that's the most likely that we're going to get. But even Thracier has ways that you can use her. So be on the lookout for these. If you're looking for a breakdown on the Fallen units, I have that up, and I just have had a new system put up where you can look at the true damage, true defense, and mobility versus other units in the individual units classes. So go check that out. Members, you are amazing. Thank you for all that you do. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.